embark upon this journey to a $5 trillion economy, stated aim of this government that we will touch that magic number by 2024, it's crucial to get the view of stalwarts and captains of industry. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Godrej, one of the best known names of Indian industry and someone who we believe could add a lot of perspective to this journey to $5 trillion. Mr. Godrej, thank you for speaking with us.
Good talking to you.
Here at ET Now. Let me begin by, with a very basic overall question. This $5 trillion number, do you think it's doable, it's achievable, especially in the current context of the economic slowdown we're looking at?
Well, the current context is unfortunately not the best, but we're talking of 5 years, and I certainly feel that it is doable. I think it will need a lot of effort on the part of both the government and industry. It needs thorough planning and it needs a follow-through.
Let's get a little more specific. The current situation we find ourselves in seems to be a vicious cycle of a credit crunch, a choke up of credit, private investment freezing up, maybe because of that paucity of credit or a gloomy outlook, and a government that wants to loosen its grip but is constrained by its own fiscal deficit problems. Do you see a way out of this sort of vicious cycle or credit trap that we find ourselves in?
Yes, I think we should watch what happens on the oil front.
Yeah.
This, unfortunately, this Saudi attack, which has reduced their oil output, has had an effect on the oil prices. We have to see how that settles. But what we need to ensure is that our growth rate over the next 5 years is about 8%. And we have done it before. We have grown at even higher rates. We need growth-oriented policies. We clearly need policies that add to growth, especially in sectors which have been badly affected, like the auto sector, for example. And we can certainly do it. To my mind, it's clearly doable, but it needs a lot of effort and coordination between government and industry.
And there is literally a raging debate on right now, whether it's from policymakers or industrialists or even within the auto sector, about whether the auto sector, quote unquote, deserves this GST cut or any kind of stimulus. The contrary point of view is that this is a sunset sector. A lot of people don't want to buy new cars. The world is moving to EV. And there are some structural problems in this sector, and a government handout is not the answer right now. They shouldn't cry wolf. What would be your response to that?
Well, I think the global auto industry is growing reasonably well. This is a peculiar situation in India. Clearly there are reasons for it, but 28% GST rate on any item except sin goods like, say, cigarettes, I would say is too high a tax rate. It's too high a tax rate, and we should get over it, get out of it. And another mistake we make in India, to my mind, is that we feel, both politicians sometimes, bureaucrats also, that lower rates of taxes will lead to less collection, and higher rates of taxes will lead to more collection. A general experience has been the other way around. Whenever you reduce rates of taxes, collections go up, in fact, because volumes go up, the economy is successful, collection of taxes on other things go up. When you increase the rate of taxes, the economy is put to pressure and things don't go up. We had, for decades together during socialist policies of the country till we changed them in 91, we had high rates of taxes, etc., low rates of growth. At independence, our per capita income was higher than that of China or South Korea. And look at South Korea, is almost a developed country now. and China is way ahead of India because our economic policies have not been good. And when we changed in 91, I think we did very well.
So then let me come to what the treatment has been so far from the government on the current slowdown. We've had 3 sets of press conferences and announcements post the budget. Some of it has focused on undoing some of the harm that the budget put on, like increased surcharges on FPIs, etc. But what is your view on how the push has been to fix the situation so far, the measures that have been announced? And of course, we'll go into a bit of more detail.
I think some of the measures have been good, and it's good that we have done it. The worst was when we brought in the budget and the government didn't even know that the tax on FPIs has gone up. It led to a stock market crash. It led to a lot of problems. Then after this, till last Friday, again the market recovered a little. There was good hope, and then suddenly we have this Saudi Aramco situation on our hands. I think we'll get over that, and I think we need to clearly find solutions that create good growth.
Let's be a bit more specific about the measures so far. So the FPI tax got rolled back. There was an announcement that there will be a front loading of 70,000 crore rupees to public sector banks, then a merger of public sector banks, most recently a fund for distressed assets in real estate. Do you think this is enough looking at the size of the problem right now?
No, not enough. It's a good step, the good steps, but not enough. As I said, we need, for example, we had a direct tax committee which has brought out a very good report to my mind. We should quickly implement it. But the government has not even made it public fully. I think we've got snatches of it. And we should reduce rates of taxes. When Jaitley was the finance minister, he had announced that the maximum rate of corporate tax in India will be 25%.
Yeah.
Then we reduced it on a large number of companies, but small companies. So we then said we have reduced the rate to 25% or 98% of the companies. But 98% of the tax was still being paid at higher rates, because all the larger companies pay much more tax than the exemption rates. And now we had announced that we would reduce it, and we should do it. We should not play selectively in the situation. And I think it will help the country a lot. We have one of the highest rates of corporate tax among the large economies of the world.
I would come specifically to the nearly 20,000 crore rupee real estate fund that was announced just last week, specifically for non-NPA, non-NCLT projects. Now, there is an estimate that you need about 90,000 crore rupees to push projects for 7 lakh dwelling units. Do you think this 20,000 crore rupees with its current condition will go to any extent to really unlock this grid, this jam in the real estate sector?
Not much. I think there's a big jam. We're in the real estate business. We're doing well. Our real estate company, Godrej Properties, it's a listed company. It has had its best results in the last 2 years. We continue to do well. And we feel that we should again encourage through tax incentives. Now again, it's good to pay attention to affordable housing, but you can't pay attention only to affordable housing. Commercial housing, commercial real estate is doing quite well. We should pay a lot of attention to it. It has great scope for growth. And generally, we should, again, in my view, government should look at lower rates of taxes across the board, direct taxes, indirect taxes. We keep on increasing rates of taxes thinking that we'll get greater revenue.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good way of looking at it. It's not worked, and we should again relook at all of it, and I hope this meeting on GST on the 20th takes a look at it.
Are you still bullish on the, I mean, how bullish are you on the real estate sector? Because it seems to be going through its worst phase ever.
I'm not bullish on the sector as a whole, but good companies, several good companies, are doing quite well. And I'm quite happy with the current policies. Tweaked a little could add a lot, and we could do quite well. And I don't see, if we do well, why other companies can't do well. But credit availability should be there, but with proper safeguards.
You have spoken several times during this interview on lower taxes. The counter would be that with our current target of sticking to a 3.1% fiscal deficit, how are we going to afford this?
See,
we can't.
That's why I explained that this is a wrong notion.
We might not be able to, GST shortfalls are
lower rates of taxes will lead to lower tax collections. That's the mistake. We have to get over it. If you look at historically, in all cases, almost always, lower rates of taxes have led to higher collection. Let me explain to you a small experience I've had over the years. On cosmetics and toiletries, there used to be excise duty at 150% at one time. We went to the government and told them, please reduce it over a period of time. They listened to us, they reduced it, and every time they reduced the rate, finally they brought it to 15%. Every time they reduced the rates, the collections increased. Consumption increased, production increased, employment increased. So everything goes well. I'm not saying you should have deficits. I'm saying you should reduce rates of taxes, not reduce tax collection. And reduced rates of taxes will lead, in my view, to higher tax collection. That has been our experience. That has been the country's experience.
So apart from lowering or rationalizing taxes, what else would you like to see?
I'd like the policies where some effective policy could help. For example, I think consumption has come down in the country. Part of it is consumers don't feel very confident. So if they are given a good feeling that their money in hand will increase, they will spend more money. Higher spends will lead to higher consumption, higher growth. All that will help. Whenever the economy does well, tax collection is good, government deficit is under control.
Absolutely. Just last couple of questions and slightly controversial. One refers to a statement you were quoted to have made earlier this July at a function of a college, which read something to the effect that you were concerned that the social atmosphere and intolerance, etc., would have an impact on the economy as well. Would you like to elaborate on those comments and what you were trying to say?
No, I think we should be clear that everybody in the country feels comfortable in the environment. So if, for example, if there is a lynching of somebody who owns cows, I don't think we should have that. If you do not encourage cows or cattle, you know, India is the largest exporter of beef in the world, mainly buffalo meat, and it's been affected by some of the government policies. So all I'm saying is, make sure everybody is comfortable, everybody is happy within the overall situation. And if you make anybody unhappy, like we heard of lynching at one time, and if you make any community worried or concerned, then it will affect the economy, it will affect growth.
You know, this government has now finished 100 days in its second term, immensely popular government, huge mandate. But what has been your reading on their handling of the economy, which was their biggest plank in term one? They've come back on popularity. What do you think has been this sort of track record of handling the economy, and how optimistic are you of them taking us out of this sort of economic slowdown that we see right now?
I think they will do it. I think they've also realized it. The Prime Minister in one of his speeches spoke that we should respect wealth creators.
Yeah.
We should support wealth creators. He realized that that is not happening, and it needs to happen, and in many other ways. But as I said, there are a lot of opportunities. They must be implemented quickly.